teaching CCA, you like earn like around 60 an hour, right? Like,
About there lah. Yeah, I think now the market rate is 70. 70, yeah. 70.
yeah. Some 90.
Some wow.
Wow, don't know
What
who's
school, Shelly?
Hey, Raffles. Okay, hi everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Starving Artists of Singapore. I am your host, Pian Tong, and today I have a very special guest joining me. Today we have Joachim Lim.
Hi.
Clap. Editor, you can edit it later. So, Joachim is a percussionist, multi-genre percussionist. He is part of many different music groups and currently is also a faculty at Yong Siew Toh Conservatory of Music at National University of Singapore, NUS. So I'll leave him to introduce more about himself and all of the different groups that he's a part of. So,
Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Joachim. As what Pian Tong has mentioned, I'm a percussionist. I try to do multiple genres, but I studied and graduated from the Yong Siew Toh Conservatory of Music. So I did lots of classical music in school, but I've always been interested in other types of music. Yeah, so some of the groups that I'm in, first of all is Lorong Boys. So we started this quintet of just friends basically. And so how the group came about, we saw this was like 10 years ago, I think. Yeah, we saw this NUS talent show.
oh,
Right, and then there was a prize money. So it's like, okay, let's join this thing. We're going to win it. It's only $1,000 but it was still quite something for students. So we entered it, and then we won first prize. But we had 5 or 6 of us performing and then the second prize person was a solo performer.
oh.
So the second, the guy who won second prize got more money than us, yeah. But it was fun, So that's how Lorong Boy started, and I guess over the past decade we've kind of found our sound per se. So we are delving more into this classical crossover genre, which is in a very general nutshell, it's like taking classical music and trying to reinvent them. And sort of portraying them in different styles, different approaches. Yeah, so we did, I think 4 years ago during COVID, we had this, we applied for the DPG grant, and we produced 4 films. 3 were arrangements, and 1 was an original composition by John.
Sicilian was one.
Yes, so Sicilian was an arrangement.
Okay.
Yeah. So and then so that's what we did 4 years ago, and we've kind of like moved into that direction as well. And also, pop music still remains kind of what we do sometimes. But it's also mixed in with like jazz and funk and a lot of different kinds of fusion. So we do various arrangements of different kinds of pop music also. Either that or mashups and things like that. So that's one of the things that we do, and one of the groups I'm in. Another group that I'm in, I co-founded with one of my good friend Derek Koh. It's Moss Percussion. Yeah, so it's a Singaporean contemporary classical percussion group that focuses on playing contemporary works in the classical percussion realm. Yeah, so not so much of the pop stuff, but really classical things. So we try to do various events, like festivals. We performed in YST last year for their symposium. Yeah, so we worked with the YST students, and we did a Steve Reich tribute concert. So just an hour's concert of Steve Reich music. Yeah, and that was fun. Yeah, so we got to work with the students as well. That was a good experience.
Hermes.
yeah. So we played for an Hermes launch also in September last year. That was fun. Yeah, we had to curate a performance, and we had to link all of them together. So they wanted a solo marimba performance. Solo marimba performance, a solo snare drum performance, and then something at the end that combined both of us, like a duo or duet. So I played marimba, and then Derek played snare drum, and then we came together to do an arrangement of Libertango. Yeah, so we arranged it ourselves and performed it as a duo. So yeah, and it had to kind of seamlessly weave, the pieces have to seamlessly weave into each other. Yeah, so that was a challenge as well. Yeah, and the fun fact was the night before because they opened for 2 nights. So the night before, they basically came up to me and said, hey, can you perform without your glasses? So I'm like, okay, sure. Yeah. And I mean, if you don't know what a marimba is, it's like a piano, but it's harder because you're using something else to play the instrument, right? So we are not, as percussionists, if you're not familiar, we are not physically touching our instrument. We're using something else as a medium to touch our instrument, right? And yeah, it just makes your life harder that way. And yeah, so I don't wear contacts. I've always worn specs. So it was kind of almost playing blind. But yeah, I'm glad I survived it. Yeah, so that's Moss. And then I'm also part of Teng Ensemble. It's a Chinese fusion ensemble. So we do a lot of Chinese music also, but a lot of pop music with Chinese instruments as well. Yeah, that's one of the very small things that they do as well. They also have a lot of different outreach programs, a lot of research programs also that they're doing for the community. Yeah, so it's really interesting to see and to be part of all these different various groups to make music also lah. So I would prefer not prefer, but I would say that I try to delve into a lot of different genres lah.
And this whole different genre thing started only after YST or even before that
I think it was throughout growing up lah. Yeah. I listened a lot to all sorts of music. Yeah. When we were growing up, it was CDs. Now we don't have that. Yeah. It was a lot of like Backstreet Boys, Spice Girls, a lot of radio also. So we heard like ABBA on the radio, Carpenters, Eagles. Yeah, and then my dad would have like Beyond, like there was a Beyond CD. Then we would just like listen to them. I have no idea what they were singing, but we just listen to them. In the car also, he would like turn on the radio. Sometimes every morning on the way to school, it was always a Chinese program. Yeah, so we would listen to. I can't remember the program of it, but it was basically a story like every day it was like 6:30 plus a.m. There was like 5 minutes, they'll read some story and then we'll just sit in the car, then I'll just listen to it. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, so it was a lot of exposure to lots of different things. Yeah, at night, my dad would be playing Gregorian chant like in his room. Yeah, so we, that kind of thing. Yeah, so it's I think from young, we were always exposed to various kinds of music. Yeah, and I think for me, I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, and I didn't try to think of it as like, oh, this is, one specific type of music or one genre. I didn't think of it that way. It's just music. Yeah. So I think it wasn't like, oh, I want to do this, but it's really just part of like the upbringing.
So speaking of what you said, oh, I want to do this. When do you find out, or when do you decide you want to make music your full-time career? And also, like, how do you start? Like, is it CCA or?
Okay, yeah. So I started in CCA, specifically percussion. I started piano. My dad started us on piano when we were primary 1, so 7 years old.
Was he a musician?
No, yeah. I think my dad always, but somehow we have a guitar at home. I think he shared like quite recently that he got this guitar, then he wanted to like woo my mom, that kind of thing, but he cannot play. That's why. Yeah, I mean we somehow when we were growing up, there was this classical guitar at home, but like nobody could play it lah. Yeah, but he was, but he started us on music, piano lah. When we were primary 1, then P2 I actually joined the school band, but I wanted to play the flute. No, sorry, I wanted to play the clarinet. Yeah,
Squidward.
And then and then, but I vaguely remember we had to line up. And the teacher would be giving out mouthpieces, So I got to my turn. I was quite behind. Then she said, okay, what do you want? Then I was like, can I play clarinet? Then she said, oh, we have no more clarinet mouthpieces. Here's a flute mouthpiece. Yeah, so I actually
joined.
Yeah. So I actually grew up playing flute.
Oh.
Yeah, from primary 2 to 6. Yeah. So then went on to secondary school. I actually wanted to carry on flute. But the conductor was saying, oh, you got piano background. We need mallet players. You join percussion. So okay lor, yeah.
Who's the conductor?
Said, the conductor was Ho Kung Fu.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know if he's still in the scene, but thank you. It was a blessing in disguise. Yeah. it was a bit sad, a bit disappointing at first, lah. You know, but I really liked my seniors there. Yeah, we were like a family there, and we played together. We worked hard together. A bit sadistic, but then we will be like, hey, you play wrong, or you play wrong things, you go and like run around the field, that kind of thing, or do push-ups, that kind of thing.
Is it St. Patrick's?
No.
Oh.
It's my school 倒闭 already.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It's Hongka Secondary. Yeah, it's
in loving memory.
Yeah, so it was fun lah. Yeah, we will push each other that way. Yeah, you know, if you play wrong rhythm, then you do like 20 push-ups, that kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah, but that was good lah. It was good exposure and good memories. Then from there, I just went on to JC and continued percussion lah. So that was how I started in percussion. And I actually stumbled into this, not say unknowingly, but it was really just a kind of just try it out kind of thing. So in JC, so the only reason why I went JC is because I didn't know what to do in poly. Right, and I thought, okay, study 2 more years, you know, should be, you know, then I can figure out what I want to do, right? But after 2 years, I still didn't know what I want to do. Yeah, and so back then, my girlfriend, now my wife lah, so she was saying, hey, why don't you try Yong Siew To? Right, since you like music, why don't you try it lah? So I've never heard of the school before, so, and then I was like, okay, let's just try it out lor. Yeah, so went into army, and then
SF bands?
SF bands,
oh,
yeah.
SF bands.
And luckily got into SF bands. I told the officer, say, I don't want to do officer school or anything. I want to go SF band. You know, and then he's like, oh, why? I said, I want to do music, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah. So thankfully got into SF bands. And then I practiced a lot there. So got a lot of tips and help from people also lah. And then auditioned into YST in 2010. Yeah. But I kind of like flubbed my audition also, because I went inside there, then I played marimba, and then I forgot, like basically you're playing from memory, and then you got a brain fart. Like, oh shit.
They just stuck there.
Yeah. And then I started stuck there. I was like, sorry, can I like play that one more time? You know? And so the second time was okay lah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But thankfully I got in, yeah. So it was to me, it was like, I'll just try it out lor. Yeah. And if I don't get it, then I'll just do like, you know, FASS or something like that. So
FASS.
yeah.
Not no more already also.
No more, yeah. Right. That's how old I am. But yeah, so that was how I got into YST, how I got into music, and after that it was just really like I opened one can of worms after the other, and just like throw myself into the deep end of the pool.
So most of the time, I mean, at least for my parents, both of them did art, or they are professional like Chinese opera practitioners lah. So they always tell me don't do art, and that's quite standard of Singapore parents, I would say. So throughout this entire journey, what was your parents like input on your decision, and like did they tell you or try to push you in any direction?
Not really, yeah. I mean, they were from young. My parents were very supportive. Yeah, I think for my family at least, we were very appreciative of that. Yeah, and that we could sort of just do what we want, you know, without feeling that pressure to like, oh, you know, you must be a lawyer or engineer or doctor, that kind of thing. I mean, this was in the 90s, you know, where it's that was the the trajectory that you're supposed to take. So when I told my dad, hey, I want to do music, you know, he shared with me like after that, I say, oh, you know, can make money or not, you know, so I think as a parent you will always feel now being a parent also, you will always feel like, okay, like will my children be able to survive lah, basically. But he was always very supportive lah, both my parents, and he said, okay, you know, you do your thing, we'll support you however we can. And I'm very glad for parents, like very understanding parents also. Because not all of us have that have parents who are that understanding and supportive also lah.
So speaking of that more pragmatic aspect, right? When did you first realize that music can survive on? Like, when do you get your like first big paycheck or like first job? Like when do you realize?
When I guess during school yeah. Because during school then I will be teaching a bit on the sides.
Oh, personal.
Actually in school.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was going to a JC actually to teach for. I did a short stint with them lah.
The CCA instructor.
CCA, as a CCA instructor. So it wasn't then that I realized, but it's basically one of the avenues of earning money in that sense. So I felt that this is quite possible. Yeah.
There's always this perception among Singaporeans that, musicians, money is hard to come by and stuff. But hearing your story so far, you didn't really have the burden of worrying about money most of the time up till
No lah. I mean,
still have.
I guess it's always a worry. It's just how much you worry about it lah. But at the same time also, I feel that you need to do something about it. You cannot wait for things to happen. Yeah. So it's how much you push yourself, then you will get that back in return. I believe that. Because if you just wait and like ask around or something like that, you won't really get those opportunities. You need to make yourself known. You need to know people also. You need to actively go out and like also ask, like, hey, like, are you looking for a percussion tutor? I'm available on these days or these timings. Like, if you know anyone or if you have any outlets or schools that could accommodate to these timings, then I'll be available. Yeah, so it's really about what we call hustle now.
So you're referring more to teaching, right?
I think teaching and gigs are both the same.
Both the same.
Yeah, because again, if you just wait, then nothing will come. You have to be proactive in your own income streams in that sense. Yeah.
So maybe you can share with the audience, between teaching and performing currently for you, what's the percentage income like?
Mostly teaching. I would say is maybe 70-30.
Okay.
Right. As a percussionist, it's easy, but it's not easy to find gigs also. Right. I mean, so if you talk about orchestral stuff, classical stuff, there's only so many classical performances or classical groups that do all these performances, right? And then for the pop stuff, you really have other sort of well-established drummers and things like that. So not that it's easy, right? So it's still tough, but the rate, at least for me, is not very high. So teaching is still more frequent. Yeah, so I would say 70%, 30% accounting.
So to bring back to the Hermes performance, right? Was it like people watching you, or it's just like background music kind of thing?
It was a feature performance. Yeah, so we had clients from the clientele from Hermes. So a lot of, the first day was like a media launch. Then the second day they had their like VVVIPs coming down. Yeah, so the team from Paris also came down.
Oh.
Yeah, so they watched our performance, and yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it was good to showcase like percussion quality, in Singapore.
So having performed in different events, venues, functions, all kinds of places, right? Do you get the feeling that the audience actually listens to you, or like the audience just treats you as like a BGM kind of thing, like most of the time in Singapore?
It really depends on the event. Yeah, there are some events where you're just BGM, like purely BGM. We've done one at what is that hotel at Bugis?
Intercontinental.
Not Bugis. The one along North Bridge Road. North Bridge, Nicole Highway. Is it? JW Marriott? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we done one gig there. Inside the glass building with the chandelier, right? But we were on the bottom floor, and we were all the way at one corner. Yeah, and then we were just a 3-piece band just playing, but it was purely BGM. Yeah. But we've also done shows where it's a feature performance. So one of it was like in Busan for Lorong Boys. The three of us flew up there, and then we performed for like the aviation industry people. Yeah. And that was like a feature performance. So they had a Korean traditional group come up to perform. And then after that, they had a Singaporean representative, which was us. So we did like a mashup of a Singapore National Day song and SNSD.
Oh.
Yeah. So we mashed two songs together. So that was like a feature performance. Yeah. And it really depends on the event.
So I guess my follow-up question would be, at least for myself, right, when I perform for some NUS gigs, like for example, NUS Medicine School, they have dinners, and they'll get the jazz band to go and perform.
Oh, yeah.
So most of us get the feeling like, because medicine students, you know, upper echelon kind of stuff, family most of the time quite rich lah. They don't really like kind of. I mean, it doesn't sound nice, but they kind of look down on like the musicians. Cause like, you know, when they walk past us, they like won't even look at us, things like that.
I'm not just like the rest of you. I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better. I am better.
That kind of vibe lah. We get that kind of vibe. But then when we introduce ourselves as NUS students, and when I say I'm from School of Computing, she's from law, she's from engineering, this kind of like Holy Trinity kind of degree lah, then they start to treat us differently. Like they will start to look at us and you can see like their eyes light up like, oh, these people are people lah. You know, previously it's sort of like, oh, these are just like musicians for our background music. Do you get that feeling in all your years of performing? Like, is that a Singaporean thing or? Because I don't get this from like Angmo audience.
I think it's the wow factor maybe. You know, it's like if you're actually a medicine student or an engineering student, you know, then you do music on the side, but you do it very well. You know, and people are like, wow, you're so talented, that kind of thing. Yeah. So maybe it's that. Yeah. For me, it's I personally don't care. So that, you know, just like, oh, it's fine lah, you know, because I mean, to me, it's I'm going there to perform music lah, you know, and music that hopefully will be good, you know, and hopefully people enjoy lah, right? If we're talking about like events lah, you know, not like a concert setting, okay, and so. To me, it's I will just go there, I'll play, I'll make music the best as I can. Hopefully everyone has a good time. Even if I don't get applause, then, you know, it's just, it's
just a job.
To a certain extent, I guess so. But it's also about like trying to have a good time on stage lah with my friends lor. I mean, I think ultimately that's about it. Because sometimes as if you are on the receiving end, right, you're watching a band perform. If they are enjoying yourself, I do feel that you can feel it. I do believe you can feel it. You know, when you look on stage and you see these people like smiling and just enjoying themselves on stage, I think then the energy you're able to receive it, right? But then on the other hand, also, you know, if let's say, not to diss any like wedding bands or anything, but sometimes you know, you go to weddings and then you see this band playing and they are just purely BGM, you know, and you know that. They know they are BGM and then no one will listen to them, and you know, they give like a lackluster performance kind of thing, you know, that kind of feeling, so you can feel it also lah, you know, and for me it's always just like treat the way I see gigs is I treat every gig like my last gig lah. And I want it to be the best that I can be, you know, at that given moment of time. It doesn't mean is my best performance so far, but at least I try to give as much as I can in that sense. So I think that the feeling of enjoying yourself on stage with your friends, it carries forward to the audience. So whether they see me as a human or something else, I think it's, at least for me, it's not very relevant. You know, it's to me, it's like how much can I help to, you know, to lighten the mood or to create this kind of atmosphere for you, that kind of thing.
Do you notice, so you've been a YSD student before, right? And now you're currently teaching there. Do you notice any changes in like the students? Like, do they think differently? Do they come from different backgrounds as back then?
For sure. I think last time it was more of like, okay, you know, like my teacher tells me this, I'm going to do it. I think now the students are a bit different. They question you, not in a bad way, right? But they will ask questions also. And for me, I like to invite them to ask questions also, right? Because then the more questions you ask, then the more about the music you discover, the more about yourself you discover also, right? Because one piece of music played by 5 different people will sound completely different as well, right? Even if it's all written the same way. Right, because of our influences, the way we practice, the way we perform, the way we perceive the phrases also, right? So, I think the mentality is very different, right, compared from last time and now, right? But that being said, now it's also like with like mental wellness and mental awareness kind of thing. it's very easy to use that as an excuse. I've had some students also like, oh, I'm not feeling it today. Yeah.
What you mean you're not feeling it? Snatch up,
it's my time is like, yeah, I know if it's our time, like my time is like
Chair
no
fly
you play,
already,
So last time the teacher can scold student, now it's the parents scold the teacher kind of thing. So it's a very different environment now. So I think there are some students who use that card it's not good all the time. I mean, if you really have issues, then it's but I think a lot of times people use that as like a weapon, So it's not very nice per se, but sometimes they are like that lah.
You brother 不要这样 don't like that.
Yeah, but it's changed lah. The mentality of students.
So the art scene is no doubt getting more and more vibrant in Singapore lah, as in compared to years back. We see more local pop artists coming up, a lot of young talent, and a lot of sessionists also exporting music talent. But do you think there's the local music market, right, is enough to support the increasing number of graduates? You see now we have University of the Arts, we have Yong Siew Toh who's continuously trying to increase intake. Does the market support that? Or everyone's just gonna end up becoming like a default teacher at some point?
I think for now, the graduates, if you're graduating soon-ish, I think it's still okay. But in 5 to 10 years' time, probably it will be quite saturated. But that being said, also there's a lot of things to do, it's whether you want to do it or not, and whether you're willing to or not. So like teaching, so some people they are like, I don't want to teach, and then when they don't have jobs, then they complain. In that sense, I've had people I know people who were like that, So it's about I feel it's about the mentality of how you look at the market as well. You have to be willing to do stuff that you may not like.
It's like a normal day job.
In that sense, so that resilience, you need that resilience. But it will definitely get saturated in 5 to 10 years, I think. But then try to find something. So that's why so for Morse Percussion, we realized that there is no group that is doing this in Singapore, at least, doing contemporary percussion. And so Derek and I say, hey, let's just do it and we formed during COVID also. So there was like, why would you do something during COVID, right? And
because gonna grant money. Anyhow, I know why.
Actually, because no. But I mean, 4 years after that, we are still doing stuff. We are still actively trying to push for concerts and things like that. So for us, at least for Morse, at least hopefully the later half of the year we'll have something. We are planning something now, but hopefully it goes through. So that's how we push ourselves in that sense. You have to have that fire and that drive to want to make things work.
So it's really like entrepreneur, you're on your own trying to come out.
Exactly.
So earlier last year, 2023, around June, I was in New York for 1 month. So NUS got this program, sent us there, write research paper. What I wrote about was jazz in New York and how Singapore's art scene can learn from their jazz scene to become self-sustainable. And the thesis was that in order for music or any art form to be self-sustaining, there has to be transaction between primary and secondary stakeholders. So primary is ourselves, the performer. Secondary is the audience. Tertiary is the institutions, the government, the grants and all that. So tertiary not counted. That's what my research paper advocated for. Do you think in Singapore that's possible to only have audience and musician, but without government grant? Do you think music can survive?
Does the tertiary include companies or
companies,
organizations? That is private organizations, or are those considered secondary?
Oh, that's a good point. Maybe that's why I got B plus. No, but wait, let me try to recall. For that one, I put as tertiary also. Yeah, so institutions, private
okay,
companies like sponsors, Maple Tree, that one is tertiary. Yeah.
I think it's possible in Singapore, but it's a very small handful of people, lah. Right? I mean, as a consumer, you have a finite amount of spending power, right? Let's say you need to buy like clothes or food, that kind of thing, right? But if you have more of that, then of course you can indulge yourself in various luxuries, right? So, I mean, unfortunately, music is not something that is not a necessity to a certain extent, right? Because you cannot eat music to feel full, right? Yeah. So, I think if it's the audience and if it's just like monetary transaction, right, between audience and performers, it can happen, right? But it's within a very small community in Singapore, I feel.
Very hard.
Right? It's So the sustainability of it is really depending on the individual, you know, whether he has that what is that word called? Whether he believes in that lah. Yeah. Like, I really love jazz music. I really appreciate it. You know, I'm gonna, hire your band to play for me every Friday night, for example. You know, yeah. So then you go to his place, then you play. Yeah, right. But
we'll both show up.
Yeah. It's I think there are people who do that, but really very small handful, right? Because you would not ordinarily, yeah. I guess do stuff like that maybe. Yeah. I mean, but if you talk about like, let's say Simply, right? You go to Simply Jazz or something and then you pay a cover charge. I mean, that's a bit different, I think, right? Yeah. So that one is, I think that is sustainable, right? But then your cover charge, there's a lot more other things that go into it, because then now it involves an organization, a private organization and things like that. But if it's just purely like between people, I think it's a very small handful, I feel. Yeah. I've never had it before. So if anyone's out there listening, yeah.
Let us know.
I was talking to a friend of mine just the other day, and we were talking about Taylor Swift. Right? I mean, she was in town, and and people are going crazy about her. But I mean, I'm not a Swiftie. I'm sorry. Yeah, but yeah. So
Ariana Grande.
But yeah, so I don't get the hype of it. Yeah, and then like I'm just like, yeah, I mean, yeah, she's here to perform. She's good. Yeah, I listen to her music on and off, but I'm not a huge fan of her, right? But there are some people who were like, who were,
your wife?
Yeah, no, she my wife was outside when she was performing, yeah, but she was hanging out with a friend who flew in from Philippines to.
She's not a Swiftie also.
No, she's also not a Swiftie, yeah, but it's so then like we don't get that, yeah, but then we're into this music called jazz, and then we're like, why don't people get jazz?
Yeah, solo man. People look at
So it's kind of the same thing, like I think the kind of music you like, you cannot expect everyone to like the same thing, right? And I really feel that if you like a certain type of music, a certain genre, then work hard on it, and you will naturally attract people who like that kind of music as well, right? Because there's sometimes like if you try to appease the audience of like, okay, they want to hear pop music, so I play pop music,
not here, not there.
But then if your pop music is not that pop or not that tasteful, then they're like, it's not that nice, and then you as a performer, you don't feel good doing it also. Then that
lose.
Yeah, that lackluster performance will be like, oh yeah, I'm trying this out, but I don't really like it. Yeah, then it's a lose situation, But if you really enjoy your music, and you perform your heart out, and then even if you have like 1,000 people and you only attract 5 people, at least you have that 5 people, and those 5 people will tell another maybe hopefully 5 more, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so it's I think it's staying true to yourself, like what you want. But this is purely from a very creative and artistic point of view, lah. Because then of course the business side of it is like, okay, how can I grow the music, grow my revenue and things like that. So it's very hard to say the kind of things, yeah. But at least for me, it's more of the artistic approach first, yeah. Like that's why I'm a starving artist, cause
ironic, but yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's yeah, that's what I feel, you know. Is if you are really passionate about it, then like, not that money is not important. It is important to a certain extent, right? But the artistic side, I feel is
First
is
and
what
foremost.
fuels. Yeah, it should be what is the first and foremost thing, lah. Yeah.
So I really like what you mentioned about the thing that you can't expect everyone to like what you like. I think that's something that's very prevalent, especially among the youths these days. We're starting to realize that. So speaking of the business side of things, do you have any like advice for all the, let's say, aspiring musicians out there that want to carve a career out of music for them? Like, what advice would you have in like building a brand, getting your brand out there? Like, any tips?
Find like-minded people. Yeah. Like if you, I personally don't think that a solo thing is a good thing, right? It could be good. Like, I mean, if you're like Ed Sheeran or something like that, and you are using like a loop pedal, so doing that as a solo artist, I think it's okay. But if you're like, for example, classical music, right? If you want to be a soloist, it's really hard to make a living out of that, right? And so I would say that try to like do chamber, like form a group, find people who are like-minded in terms of your personality also, but also like music tastes. Because if your music tastes are different, then it'll be hard to navigate through
Speaking different language.
Yeah, you know. So that will be one of the those will be one of the tips also. Try to, I don't really like this word, but network. You know, the more people you know in the industry, the better it is for you as well. But knowing them is also one thing. You know, you have to also put in the hard work. You know, you cannot say, hey, hi Ben Tong, I'm Joachim, you know, nice to meet you. I'm a drummer,
Gomez.
you know. You know, yeah. So you also have to
Both
yeah, you know, you have to work hard for it. Yeah. Build a portfolio also. Yeah. So if you're in school now and you don't know what a portfolio is, basically just record everything that you do. And that's a start lah, basically. Yeah. That's what I did in my YST. When I was doing masters. Yeah. Actually, I didn't do it in YST. Yeah, I did it in my masters. So I was a bit late in that sense. But I did record some stuff. And then whether or not you use it is a bit different lah. But then at least you have some recordings of what you can do. So that at least you can show various, you know, event organizers or something like that, or planners that, hey, you know, would you like some kind of like jazz music or fusion music? You know, I got this group that can do this, you know, and then maybe say, okay, you know, we'll keep in touch. You know, if I find a suitable event for you, yeah. So create a portfolio of things that you do so that at least you are more like, you don't have to like, oh, the client asking me, oh, do you have like a recording? Then you're like, no, I don't have. You only have my word that you have to trust, you know. Yeah, that's a bit hard, you know. Yeah, it's like scam like that, you know. Yeah, it feels like a scam, but yeah.
So what are your kids' perspectives on like you being a musician? And do they want to follow in your footsteps, or like, that is a musician?
I think they enjoy music a lot. Yeah. We're always listening to a lot of different kinds of music. Recently, we've introduced them to Tenacious D.
Oh,
yeah.
Jack Black.
It's like, yeah. So they've been into it. My eldest came back from school. I think it was last year.
They're old enough for Tenacious D. The lyrics, like.
Yeah.
Can like
at home.
Father say can means can. Go outside, don't say.
Yeah. Yeah. So they my eldest came back last year. I think then he was like singing the Tears for Fears. Right, everybody wants to. Yeah, so we were listening to that for a while. So then I'm like, yeah, wow, like, how come it's like you guys listen to this kind of music? He said, no, my friend told me about it. Yeah, so maybe it's like TikTok or something. I don't know lah. But yeah, I mean, like, that song is quite it's so groovy also, you know. And during COVID, a lot of drummers were doing like metric mod to it and stuff like that. So But so for my kids, if they want to be musicians, I think it's okay if they want to. Yeah, I mean, if they want to lah. But yeah, I see how long. Yeah, but right now they're more into football lah. Yeah, so
you rather they become soccer player or musician?
Soccer player in EPL. Yeah.
No, EPL. No, local Lions.
No, then I'll be like, I can earn money, you know.
Then the cycle comes.
Yeah.
Then my kid next time interview your kid. Why you want to become soccer player?
Yeah, so it's I mean, for my wife and I, like, at least whatever they want to do, we will encourage, we will support them also. But then they have to work hard also lah. Yeah, so actually, so my kid just actually played for two matches just now. Yeah, and it was the first time he was captain for the second match. Oh, for both matches, I think. Yeah, yeah, and it was good lah. Yeah, so they won both matches, so that was good. Yeah. And yeah, so hopefully he pushes himself that way lah. Second kid is taking after him also. Yeah, they playing football every day outside the house, along the corridor. Lucky no neighbors complain. Yeah, very thankful lah. Yeah, like our neighbors are. It's like a kampung also. Like they will bring us food lah. Hey, 我煮咖喱给你吃 that kind of thing. Yeah, so and then like when we have extra food, so we'll give them and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's very very homely lah. So they make noise outside, so nobody complain. Yeah, so that's good.
But studies first. Studies first.
To a certain extent, I think. Yeah,
but still quite young lah. 9 only.
Yeah, 9 only lah. But
3 more years.
Yeah, I think that to me it's not the make or break kind of thing. Yeah, because there's more to life than studies lah. Yeah, I mean, for me, my PSLE last time is the old system. I got, what did I get? 203.
That's the old system.
That's the old system.
My system also. It's not.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, now new system.
300.
Now it's like now it's like O level system. So the lower points you have, the better. Yeah. Cool. I think I also don't know. Yeah.
I also don't
know. I'll find out in 3 years. But yeah, also I think the grades matter to a certain extent, to a certain time frame also lah. But overall, I think it's more of like that holistic upbringing lah. That's more important than like, hey, you make sure you study for you get spelling 10 upon 10 kind of thing. Yeah, at least for me lah. I cannot say for other people, but for my wife and I at least, that's we try to push them in every aspect that we can lah. And as long as they do their best, yeah, that's good enough lah.
That's a very nice way to positive vibes.
Positive vibes.
So that brings us to the sponsor of today's episode.
Yeah.
So today's episode is sponsored by, once again, One Good Card. They are the premier smart name card in Singapore. It's a local brand started in Singapore as well. And currently they serve about 200,000 clients all over the world. And more than 1,000 companies also use their card. So if you own a company, you want your team to network effectively, look for them for solutions. So what this is basically a smart name card. So most smartphones these days have the NFC capability. So all you have to do is tap this name card on someone's phone and your page will pop up. They can save your contact, look at your details. Yeah, it's a very nice tool to use at networking events. So hopefully, if you're a musician and trying to, as Joachim said, network at events, this is a good way to get attention. Personally, it's been quite helpful for myself. So this is for you.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can customize like what you want to be on your card lah. So behind also have a QR code. So if someone's phone cannot scan cards, then they can
behind this card
scan your QR code. So yeah, what happened there? Musician and educator. Is that correct?
Nice. Yes. Thank you.
Hope you enjoy the card. So yeah, thank you for watching another episode of Starving Artists of Singapore. Thank you, Joachim, for coming on to our show and sharing your perspectives and your journey, basically. Do you have any like last words of encouragement or message to the audience out there that you want to share? Or like where can they find out what you're working on, things like that?
Encouragement, wow. Every time I get this thing to do at the end, it's always like my mind goes blank. Yeah.
Improvise.
But to my students, I always just say, hey, practice. Yeah. Right, because that's the only way to get better, right? But yeah, I think, don't only just practice, put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to make mistakes also. Yeah, because mistakes are just stumbling blocks, to something else. And if one door closes, you can be upset, you can be disappointed, but another door will open as well. I firmly believe that. Just keep working on it. Yeah. And hopefully you can be less starving artist next time in the future.
By the way, all our artists are not really starving.
No, not
ironic,
starving. It's not.
Have you had lunch yet?
Yeah, I had lunch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean,
Wei Zheng, are you eat already? Okay.
Yeah. Not starving lah, but I mean,
starving for success.
Starving for success. Yeah.
Correct. Okay, thank you. Bye bye. Thanks for watching. Oh yeah. I always forget this part. If you like this video, please like and comment down who you want to see next. And yeah, currently we are doing mostly musicians because most of my friends are musicians. So hopefully we can get more of other artists on board, like dancers, theatre people, painters. Yeah, so please help our channel grow so that we can better support the arts. Your comment is also indirectly like supporting the arts. And yeah, thank you for watching and see you on the next episode. Oh wait, I forgot one more thing. If you have noticed, we have actually gained the support of National Youth Council. So if you see down there at the end screen, powered by National Youth Council, Young Change Makers. So check them out if you have an interesting project you want to do that benefits the local community or your community. You can try to get their support. And yeah, thank you National Youth Council for supporting this series and supporting the local arts. Now we're done.